Hello, and you're very welcome to the Game On Fantasy Football Podcast. And I'm delighted to say that myself, Andrew O'Connor, is joined by Phil McGrath from FantasyPremierLeagueTransfers.com. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Do we have to keep speaking like this?
No.
Okay.
Yes,
the start?
It is the second part of the season for us, but it is Game Week 10. Before we get to Game Week 10, let us have a quick look back at Game Week 9. How did you personally do yourself?
Me personally, not a bad week. Bad captain choice. Had Lukaku set for captain. Decided to change it to Ozil. That backfired.
Yes.
The week before, I had the opposite problem. Had Ozil as captain. Decided to change it to Lukaku. So apart from that, though, I actually had an okay game. Week of 66 points. All my defenders got clean sheets, and everyone else pretty much got 6 points from me or more, bar Oscar and Silva. So, I was happy enough.
Very good, very good. I also made the Ozil mistake of captaining Mehmet. And but I did well up front. I did okay in midfield, and I did really badly at the back.
Yeah.
Including Zabaleta, who scored me no points.
Nil point.
Boric, I had in goal.
Clean sheet.
And he had a clean sheet, so that was 6. And I had swapped Mignolet for him, so I was happy that I'd done that. But anyway, enough about us. Briefly, I suppose we can run down through the games. Crystal Palace beaten 2-0 by Arsenal, and Arteta and Giroud on the score sheet. Ramsey and Gnabry with the assists. Red card for Arteta.
Yeah, I'm still not sure whether it was a red card. I think there may have been cover. He was far enough away from goal, but I mean, it didn't affect the result in the end. Arsenal still went on to win 2-0, and obviously Arteta has already served his suspension in the Carling Cup midweek game against Chelsea, so he's back this weekend, so it really doesn't affect fantasy managers.
Another 2-0 away win, this time at Villa Park for Everton. Osman and Lukaku on the score sheet, and assists from Osman and Barry. Great week for Osman. And Benteke misses a penalty. Yeah,
Benteke missed a penalty. Very disappointed. I'm sure plenty of fantasy managers would have had him in there. Would have been cursing him for that one. Lukaku again. The battle of the Belgians with those two. He came out on top, got a goal. It says here Osman got the goal. I think that the dubious goals panel have actually given that to someone else. I can't remember now. Okay. There you go. That's a great bit of information for you. It's not quite his. The points will stay with him, but I think the dubious goals panel may have given it somewhere else. There was a hint of Morelos being involved, but I don't think he got it either.
It's a good thing. I think we should probably have more of in society. Dubious something committees.
Dubious panels,
because there's a lot of dubious stuff going on.
That jumper from one of them, Andrew, was probably one of them.
There's a lot of dubious things in my life. This jumper being the least of them, but yeah, it's pretty warm. Liverpool 4-1 home winners against West Brom, and a hat-trick for young Suarez.
Yeah, it was the Suarez show. Having said that, Sturridge's goal was pretty good. I actually would argue Sturridge's goal was the best of the four. But I mean, it doesn't make a difference come points time, and having had the argument over Suarez and Sturridge over recent weeks and looking at their stats, and basically they were side by side points wise going into the game against West Brom, but now Suarez has completely blitzed it. There's been quite a few knee-jerk reactions to that, with Suarez being transferred in quite a bit, or swap Sturridge going out for Suarez where people can afford it. But yeah, you can't argue, but it was a great game by Liverpool. They completely dominated. Assists
from Toure, Sissoko and Gerrard, and obviously Morrison on the score sheet for West Brom, and Jones with the assist.
Yeah, listen, there's not a whole lot really at West Brom that you're going to look at. Having said that, I do have something to look at this week, but I mean, in that game against Liverpool, you were never expecting much.
More and none. Manchester United come back twice to beat Stoke City 3-2. The Man United of old is back. The never say die attitude.
I think
look great, did they?
No, they didn't look great, but I think you're right. I think that that result will certainly give them some heart going into the remainder of the season. I mean, that's what people have been saying United have been lacking, that kind of that never give up attitude that's seen them get so many late goals and so many late winners. So hopefully that can kick them on. Van Persie obviously on the score sheet, Rooney on the score sheet, and Hernandez coming off the bench and getting a goal as well. So it was a good performance from a United point of view, where you want your strikers scoring goals. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Hernandez as well. He was on form in the Capital One Cup during the week.
He was against Norwich, yeah.
On a
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to maybe start seeing a bit more of him. I think they might look to do that. But
yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more, because I've an interesting theory about that myself. Ever as well with an assist, as well as Van Persie and Rooney. Norwich, they scoreless draw with Cardiff. We'll move swiftly on.
Yeah.
Southampton, again, their form continues to be good. 2-0 home win over Fulham. Fulham away bad on the road, but goals from Lambert and Rodriguez, and each of them got an assist as well.
Yeah, and probably more importantly for fantasy managers, the clean sheets at the back, because we know a large proportion of managers will have Southampton coverage at the back, and rightly so, in the likes of Boric, Klein, Lovren, Shaw. I mean, they're all viable options. It depends on your price bracket that you've got to play with. And, Ricky Lambert, he was dropped to the bench. He was omitted from their starting 11 for the first time last week, and then or the week before, should I say. Reinstated as the lone forward this week and gets a goal.
There's nothing like a good kick in the arse.
Yeah, well,
sometimes.
That's it. I mean, but having said that,
some people react well to a kick in the arse.
Well, some people not so much.
Indeed, but that's it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the carrot, sometimes the stick.
But I mean, I think Lambert probably only came back in last week because Osvaldo missed out through injury. So I mean, it's very much a case that he kind of went, right, I've been dropped, I'm getting a chance. And he's done it, but I mean, with so many striking options available to fantasy managers, I'm just not sure whether Lambert's really going to be one that's going to take that third striker spot.
Another player that may, I say that, he may be a very, very good and value option is Barini at Sunderland, Liverpool striker. I've always said when he arrived that this guy is a really good player. He got injured. He's coming into a bit of form now. I think Sunderland 2-1 winners over Newcastle. That's going to start the season, they hope. Massive game for them.
Yeah, well, it's a time-weird derby. Anything can happen. I think Newcastle were very poor though. So I wouldn't be getting overly excited about Sunderland's resurgence, as it were. Gus Poyet still has a long way to go.
I'm not overexcited. I'm just excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Look at my face. It's just excitement.
Okay.
When I get overexcited, you'll know all about it.
Okay. You're running around like an excited little puppy
you'll
weeing
know
everywhere.
it. When you see it, you'll know it.
Great goal by Barini. And the interesting fact is actually his one and only Premier League goal for Liverpool also came against Newcastle. So there you go. But again, it's a bit too early for me to be looking at.
It is. No, it's one for the watch list.
Certainly one to keep an eye on.
If he does come into a bit of form, he could be a real player, because he's very good pedigree, this fella.
I'm a real boy.
He is a real boy. Chelsea 2, Manchester City 1. Wasn't expecting that.
There you go.
Man
of many talents.
Shirl and Torres continuing his good form. Should we all buy Torres? Aguero on the score sheet for Manchester City.
Do you know what? Torres had a great game.
Yeah, and an assist.
He really did have a really good game, and I can't remember the last time I've said that. I think had he not scored, I think he still would have deserved the plaudits he's gotten. Whether or not it's going to be a return of the Fernando Torres of old, we will have to wait and see. We've had so many false dawns over the years that we'll have to wait and see. I know that he didn't play in the Capital One Cup game on Tuesday night. He was rested. Eto'o played, so I think we can be fairly sure that Torres will play this weekend. But it wasn't a bad game. Obviously, the big shadow over that is Joe Hart's performance, and that's something we'll move on to in a little bit.
And Pantilimon. Thank you. He had a good game in the Capital One Cup.
Cup. Yeah, I mean, again, I'll go through that maybe a little bit in more detail. But I mean, yeah, it was a good game. Aguero back on the score sheet again. The guy just can't stop scoring at the moment. A little disappointed that Silva didn't do a whole lot. He didn't get the assist. He was the third man syndrome again. It was his ball into Nasri that laid it on for Aguero. Great finish from Aguero. And looking, as you can see with the way the bonus points went, there was bonus points all over this one. I mean, Cole got a bonus point, Oscar got one, Schürrle got one, Torres got 3, Di Michele's got one, Nasri got one, and Aguero got 2. That's a whole host of bonus points just in that game. We knew there was going to be points on offer, and certainly it didn't disappoint. Swansea 0, West Ham 0. We'll keep going. And of course, Spurs played Hull in the Capital One Cup. There were 19 goals that night. There was only one on the Sunday. Very surprised by that. I expected more from Tottenham, but I was also very impressed with Hull, and I know at this point we probably shouldn't be too surprised by the performances that Steve Bruce's men are putting in, but time and time again they're upping their game, and in fairness to them, they played very, very well. Yes, they were knocked out of Capital One Cup by Tottenham last night. They had a good goal last night as well. 2-2 went to extra time, penalties, and I listened to Steve Bruce after the game, and he said, I don't feel like they've beaten us over the 2 games. My lads can take a lot of credit from that, and he's certainly right. I think they can. But the side that played in the Capital One Cup was decidedly different from that played in the Premier League in Gameweek 9. So, again, we can kind of be, even though kind of Tottenham have played so much football this week, I think we can be sure they'll be the mainstays will be well rested.
All right. Right, that is Game Week 9. Let us pause briefly and get on with Game Week 10. Right. Game Week 10. It's a tough old game week to pick out. Well, I know there's some great games on offer, but in terms of points, it hasn't been the easiest. Where are you going to start with your featured games? The Emirates?
Yeah, we'll start at the Emirates. Arsenal and Liverpool is one that I suppose you would fancy. Plenty of points on offers given the form of both teams.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean Arsenal are unbeaten since game week 1, so they're nine games unbeaten. They've scored 9 goals in those 4 home games during that time that they've played. They've only conceded 5 during those games, and the 1 clean sheet is probably the biggest blot in their copybook, that they're not keeping enough clean sheets. Liverpool, on the other hand, they've lost 1 of their last 6, drawn 2, scored 8 goals in 4 away games, and conceded 5 with 1 clean sheet. So both teams 1 clean sheet, home or away, depending on what way the fixture is running for them. And they're all scoring goals.
Well, I suppose let's start with Arsenal. They are top of the league, 2 points clear of third place Liverpool. So we'll start at home. Obviously, last week we spoke extensively about the Magic Triangle: Ozil, Ramsey, and Giroud.
Yeah, Giroud and Ramsey. Ramsey got his almost obligatory assist at this point. Giroud got his first goal since game week 4, as far as I remember, to kind of get him back in. Although, even though he hasn't been scoring, he's been picking up assists, so there wasn't really a problem there. Ozil was a little quiet. The one main thing I think that I've taken to note from this and looking at it is that Ozil has had 3 blanks in the 6 games he's played. All 3 of those have now come on the road. So Ozil seems to be very much a hometown player.
Bird.
Yeah, even though he's only there a couple of weeks, he seems to perform better when at home. And that's maybe not so much down to the way he plays, but the way they're set up to play at home. So I wouldn't worry too much that you're going to see continuous blanks from him. I think it could be a case, though, that very much it's when he's at home, he might be worth the armband. When he's away, he probably won't be.
But he'd be still definitely worth his place in your squad.
Absolutely. Listen, he all day long. The other worry I have as well is Aaron Ramsey. Yes, he continued the remarkable start to the season against Palace, but he's now failed to start any of the last 3 in midfield, central midfield. Sorry, he's been pushed outright, which worries me slightly. He started on the bench against Norwich. Then with Arteta being out, Flamini getting his injury, he came in. I'm just worried whether Ramsey could be pushed out to the right again, and I think that doesn't quite suit him. I'm worried whether his returns will diminish. That's just something to bear in mind, to keep an eye on his positional, because I think when he plays outright, you don't get as much of him in the game. I think he's far better suited to playing through the middle, but with Wiltshire also coming in with some decent form through that middle, nearly playing as a kind of... He's not playing quite in the hole, because generally that's where Ozil is kind of sitting in, but he's somewhere in between.
Yeah.
He's playing between the lines, and I think he is offering Wenger an outlet there, and it's him and Ramsey for that kind of position. It's just one to bear in mind, but I still think he's worth having.
0.9 cheaper as well, Wiltshire. So if they're sort of beginning to score points, I
think if it starts to level out,
yeah,
I think maybe a switch, but at the moment, certainly no. They're nowhere close to parity on that one.
Anyone else in defence? Mertesacker obviously is the obvious choice if you're going to go.
Yeah,
there.
Well, we backed Arsenal for a clean sheet last week, and despite going down to 10 men, they still got that. I mean,
this week probably isn't there.
No, this week I don't think you can really look at either of these teams for a clean sheet. But I mean, it's still the holy trinity, I think, as Paul put it last week.
Wiltshire,
and maybe Wiltshire if you're looking for differential. So Ramsey, Ozil, Giroud are still ones to look at. On the Arsenal side of things,
the Liverpool side of things,
Liverpool side of things. That's what you're here for.
Do it again.
That's what you're here for.
We can cut it out, but I won't.
No. Thanks. And on the Liverpool side of things,
yes,
Suarez hat-trick against the Baggies last week. Obviously, he's going to be the unanimous favourite amongst many to lead the line now after his performance last time out. First hat-trick at Anfield, if I remember correctly. There's something in the back of my brain rattling around telling me that. Sturridge got a goal. Okay, compared to Suarez's returns, you have to kind of say, yeah, he was overshadowed, but still, you can't argue with the fact that he's still scoring goals, despite the fact that Suarez has taken up a lot of the gameplay at the moment. This one is going to have goals in it. There's no doubt about it. I don't see any clean sheets. I mean, last time the two teams met back in January of this year, it was 2-2 with Walcott and Giroud getting the goals for Arsenal, and Suarez and Jordan Henderson getting the goals for Liverpool. One thing to note is Jose Enrique's 50-50 going into this game. I don't think he's going to play. If you've got him in there, I'd be slightly concerned he may not get game time. Obviously, we've seen with Arsenal or with Liverpool's new formation, the way they've been playing with attacking wing backs, and it has suited Enrique and Johnson since he's made a return. So just something to bear in mind. You might have to swap him out or bench him this week, but keep a closer eye. And obviously, if you check fantasypremierleaguetransfers.com on Friday, we'll have our full predicted lineups. We'll know more then. But yeah, it's usual suspects in this one. Plenty of goals we fancy. So it's Ramsey, Ozil, Giroud, and then Suarez or Sturridge, depending on where you're going.
Yeah,
I don't fancy much of the back for either, and I think the Liverpool midfield is a little bit hit and miss at the moment, so I'd be staying away.
All right, that is the first of the featured games. The second of the featured games. Go on, tell me where we're going.
Merseyside.
Goodison Park.
Yeah,
Everton and Spurs.
This is an interesting game. There's something in my head is telling me this could have potential for plenty of goals, but also there's the other side saying this could be a 1-1. I'm not sure where it lies, so I thought it best to cover it off. Both have lost one in their last 6 games. Everton have scored 6 goals in the last 4 at home, whereas Tottenham have scored 4 goals in the last 4 away. So both teams are scoring home or away. Everton have 2 clean sheets this season at home, which, obviously fantasy managers have been quite pleased with. Tottenham have 3 clean sheets this season on the road, which I don't think many people would have really noticed. I was slightly surprised that it was that many away from home. I knew they've been doing well at the back, just hadn't realised how many of those are come on their travels. I don't think we're looking at clean sheets in this one, but I think the defenders in this could have attacking potential. So you're looking at the likes of Leighton Baines in particularly, I think, is one that could do quite well in this game.
Collyman, as Trapattoni used to go.
Collyman, or Coleman, just so we don't cause any more confusion.
Seamus.
Has been a little lackluster in his performances going forward. At the back, he's been defended solidly. Obviously, got a clean sheet last weekend. But his attacking potential has somewhat dipped.
But he still has the potential.
He's still capable, absolutely. But the way these two teams line up, certainly the way Tottenham line up as well, they play obviously with Walker on one side, and Vertonghen has actually been playing some game time on the right side of defence, or on the left side of defence, should I say. It'll be interesting to see how they line up. But
I
generally,
imagine if they expect Coleman to play, he'll go for a faster left back option, because if Coleman sees a big lanky forward there, he'll skip around or defend.
Yeah, I think that's certainly the way they should be looking at it. But like I was saying, because both of them will get forward with attacking, they're not so much wing backs. They are playing a relative flat back 4, but they do get forward. I think there will be gaps left in behind. So be it whether Coleman goes forward, or Walker goes forward, I think there'll be room there. I'm not sure exactly how the Tottenham defence will line up. Like I said, Vertonghen has been playing left. He's been playing centre. We know Walker's back. He's just signed a new deal with Tottenham as well. We're expecting him to do quite well. But I just think that there is going to be a lot of gaps in the back in this one, and I think there could be chances for goals. Lukaku was the obvious one for Everton. 5 goals in 5 games. Got one last week. He's still one to consider. I think he's 8.1 now, or he could have gone up to 8.2. I can't quite remember.
He is 8.1.
It's still 8.1. So I mean, that's, at 8.1 we're still happy enough with that. Morelos is one that's an interesting proposition in midfield. I think he does deserve consideration. He's been the nearly man for a couple of weeks. Was unlucky last week not to get a goal. The week before, obviously, we did see him break his duck and get on the score sheet. And then from the Tottenham side of things, Soldado was on the score sheet last week, got a goal. And Lamela played in the Carling Cup midweek. We know that Eriksson had been dropped the week before.
It's all very confusing.
It is.
It's such a big and quality midfield. You don't know where they're going to play.
It is. I mean, I would suspect that Sigurdsson, after his goal in the Capital One Cup,
that was sweet.
Or in the Capital One Cup, may start. He didn't play in game week 9, but having said that, because Tottenham were forced to go all the way to penalties, he may not get the start. I think Paulinho and Townsend will get the run out, and I think that
Townsend is good value at 5.9.
At 5.9, he is.
When he plays like he's been playing.
Yeah, he is. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It is a little difficult at the moment, though, like I say, just to predict exactly how AVB is going to line up their midfield. I think Townsend is probably nailed on for the moment, but I think with plenty of options there with the likes of Lennon, Chadley and Lamella, not to forget that Ericsson and Holtby are also in there. There's so many players they could go for.
Yeah, Sigurdsson, Polino, Townsend, Dembele, Ericsson, Lennon, Chaddy, Holtby, Lamella, Sandro, and Danny Rose is out.
Yeah, Sandro came in last week in place of Dembele and had a good game. But I mean, for fantasy points wise, I mean, realistically, Paulinho and Townsend in the Tottenham midfield are the ones to be looking at and up front. Soldado didn't play against Hull. Jermaine Defoe did. So I think Soldado was also one to consider at 9.2. Got his goal last week, like I said, 3 bonus points to his name, and he's now got 2 goals and an assist in 2 games, which isn't a bad return. That's pretty much where that lies. I do expect goals in this one simply because of the way the two teams line up with their attacking style from the back. So it'll be a good game to watch, hopefully for a neutral. But we expect goals.
All right, lots of points in the third featured game, which is at the City of Manchester Stadium, the Etihad.
Yeah, this one I expect to be a little more one-sided. Having said that, the last time these two teams met back in May at the Etihad, Norwich won 3-2, which was quite a surprise at the time. But
that would be a surprise.
Having said that, Jack Rodwell got the 2 City goals on the day, so that tells you everything you need to know about that.
Didn't he used to play football? Go on.
Possibly.
Yes.
City's run hasn't been great, I suppose. They've lost 2 of the last 6, but at home they have been in great form. They've scored 13 goals in their 4 home games this season, and they've only conceded 2. So, looking at Norwich on the opposite side, they've lost 4 of their last 6. They've only scored 2 goals away from home all season, and they've conceded 7 in their 4 away games. Snodgrass is a doubt for Norwich, which I think will be a huge blow to them.
Cushion factor, obviously, after being knocked out.
So I think he won't. I don't think he'll play. Tete and Redmond are also a doubt going into this, and the news I was hearing this afternoon is that the FA have also charged the Norwich players with not charge Norwich with failing to, how do they word it? Failing to control their players, and it was basically
ungentlemanly conduct.
Kind of, yeah. It was it all came from last weekend's game where Norwich were playing Cardiff, and there was an injury to a Cardiff player. Sorry, there was an injury to a Norwich player. Cardiff kicked the ball out to allow medical attention. It was a throw in then to Norwich. They threw it in. It went to Leroy Fer. Fer, instead of kicking it back to Cardiff, slotted it into an empty net. Now the ref maintains that he hadn't blown the whistle for play to resume, therefore the goal was disallowed and controversy averted. But there was a bit of a ruckus after that, so there may be some charges coming out of that. But all this kind of leads me to believe that City will blitz Norwich this week. I think Aguero is certainly the man on form at the moment. 7 goals this season, 4 of those in his last 3, is the outstanding favourite for me this week to be looking at across any of the games. I think David Silva is still one to look at. Like I said, we were disappointed with him last week. Bit of third man syndrome. I expect more from him at home this week, and at 9.3 million, I think he certainly has to be considered. And then there's the Joe Hart factor.
Fantillimon. I mean, he's an able replacement.
Yeah, he is.
He gets a run at 4.9.
Well, Pellegrini came out and he basically said that he's not willing to discuss Joe Hart's future or continued number 1 slot with the press. It'll be done in private.
Right.
And then the kind of press made a big deal about Joe Hart being on the bench for the Carling Cup game.
Pantillimon was always going to start that.
Pantillimon was always playing that game. He plays the cup games. That's what he's there for, to give Joe Hart the rest. But I think a little bit more was made of it. So I'm just basically, I would say, don't be fooled by it. Hart will play this week. There's no doubt about it. I fancy City for a clean sheet. I actually think Hart could be a keeper worth having in goals this week if you have him. And I would also then be looking at the likes of Nastasic for a clean sheet as well. I do think City will get a clean sheet, so if you've got a City defender, I would play them.
Zabaleta has been a permanent fixture in many people's squads for the last season and a bit. Hasn't been in great form. I played him last week. He got me no points. Nil point. And at 6.2 now, he is 6.1. I think I got him for. I'm thinking of shipping him out.
I can't really blame you. Looking at it, I mean, City have kept 3 clean sheets this season, but they haven't had one since game week 4. Zabaleta didn't play in game week 8, we know that. Played last week, conceded 2 goals, picked up a yellow card, nil point. He is always likely to get booked. That is the thing with him. There's no ifs, ands or buts about it. But I would hold on to him this week. And like I said, I do fancy City for the clean sheet. I think Zabaleta will play. I think Nastasic will play as well. I think he was obviously proportioned some of the blame for City's goal, or for Chelsea's goal, should I say. And I think he has a lot to play for there as well, and I think we can expect a solid performance from them at the back. I think they need it, and I would, like I said, I would back them for the clean sheet. I think Silva in the midfield is obviously one to consider, and Aguero up front for me is fast becoming a must-have.
Okay.
Norwich side of things, like I said, they're probably going to be missing Snodgrass, Tete, and Redmond are also going to be are doubts going into this game. I think they're going to be subject to a late fitness test. I can't see it. Ricky Van Wolfswinkel hasn't really been doing it since kind of the
Game week one,
pretty much.
It's that one header.
Hooper hasn't really settled in, although he hasn't been given a whole lot of game time to do that. Maybe with more games under his belt, he can start doing it. But I just don't see Norwich having enough to threaten City this week, and it has to be City all over it. Clean sheets, points in the midfield and up front.
All right, that are your 3 featured games. Next up, it's best of the rest. Right, where do you want to start with this best of the rest?
Well, one of the games I wanted to cover actually that didn't quite make the cut in the 3 focus games was the first Premier League Welsh derby. Cardiff and Swansea.
Cardiff at home.
Yep.
Where are we going for here?
Clean sheets for Swansea.
Clean sheet for Swansea. Away victory for Swansea he's going for.
Not necessarily an away victory, but I do fancy the clean sheets. I think looking at it, Michel Vorm at 5 million is good value. They've already got 2 clean sheets in a row. They'll be keen to get number 3. Cardiff go into this one having failed to score last weekend against Norwich and have only registered 1 goal in their last 3 home games. Yes, it's a derby and anything can happen, but I just think that Swansea have it at the back. I also think Ashley Williams is one to consider at 4.8. He is Welsh. He knows what this game means to both sets of supporters. The importance, like I said, it won't be lost on him, and I expect him to do quite well. So either one of those for me is worth a look. Michu has been hit and miss, and Boney's really been only scoring from the spot. I don't really fancy a whole lot from them this week. I think it's going to be a tight game. The only person in Cardiff I can really see you having a look at if you were that way inclined will be Jordan Much. But again, there's so many places up for grabs with other in the midfield that I think other players could do a lot better this week. He wouldn't be one for me.
All right, where else am I going to get points? Newcastle, Chelsea?
Yeah, Newcastle, Chelsea is one we should have a look at. Eden Hazard for me is probably the main standout performer in this one. 9.1. 3 goals, 2 assists and 5 bonus points this season against a Newcastle side that have already conceded 12 goals. Kind of tells you what you want to know about that. So I think Hazard is certainly one to consider, or Oscar. Oscar is slightly cheaper, I think.
Yeah, only about 0.1 though now.
Yep, but listen, how many times have you gone to make a transfer and you're out by that 0.1?
Most of the time.
That is. I'd rather be out by 3 million than be out by the 0.1. It's heartbreaking. But yeah, as Hazard or Oscar, but I would fancy Hazard to do slightly better this week. I don't think there's a clean sheet in this one. I do think Kabaye in particular is going to be a big threat for Newcastle, and also Ben Arfa got an assist last week. Maybe we can see a little bit more from him, and Remy has the capability to do it when he gets the right service. So I wouldn't back them to really bring in a lot of points, but I think they will threaten Chelsea for a clean sheet.
What about up front for Chelsea?
Not touching it with a 10-foot barge pole.
No, but you're watching it though.
I'm keeping a close eye on it.
He's going to score a hat-trick, you know that.
Eventually he has to, but
he might score
4. Listen, a broken clock is right twice a day. You know, it's too much of a punt.
You can hear the little whispers that Jose's having with him in his ear. Fernando, you're the best player in the world. You know, all the time. He's just all in his ear.
So.
You're still the best that I got. I bought Etu, but you're going and you start Samuel on the bench. You can hear it.
Possibly so.
It's happening.
And then poor Demba Ba hasn't even getting a look in.
Who?
Exactly. That's the funny part. Demba Ba was all the rage last season. Now no one even knows who he is.
That's show business.
Who is this guy?
And football.
So yeah, Hazard is one to look at in that one for me. Outside of that, yeah, I'm not really fancying anyone else. Oscar is the other one, but that's it.
Man United, big away win. Fulham. I know Fulham are good at home. That's what Phil's going to tell me now. No, we back Fulham at home.
That is what I'm going to tell you.
And Man United,
it was 1-0.
Couldn't unlock a what?
Door?
An unlocked door.
This game was 1-0 last season. I'm at the Cottage. Rooney was the only goal as far as I remember. And I think there's better points to be had across all positions. The United midfield is still not really. I mean, Januzaj
I love it.
was dropped last week.
Yeah, still the top scoring midfielder with 21 points.
That goes
massive.
Yeah, exactly.
4.9. He's still.
I still a good squad player to have in there.
Yeah.
I have him. I'm going to hold on to him.
I have him as well.
Rooney and Van Persie both
Hold
got
them
a goal and assist last week. Both worth considering. Hernandez is starting to force his way in though, so it's something to keep an eye on.
Right, here's one. Hernandez, Chicharito, playing behind the two strikers, which is Rooney and Van Persie. I think that could be a possibility. I think you could see him play from there and swap with wingers. I think you're going to see a whole lot of Hernandez.
I don't think United's style of play at the moment can really do that.
I don't think they have a style of play at the moment consistently.
Well, I know what Moyes is trying to do. It's just taking a bit of time to work. I don't think so. I think it will very much be a straight swap. I think if anything, Hernandez will play out and out with Van Persie in behind him. With Rooney maybe switching to the left, because I know, as we have seen it before, because we do know that United are struggling kind of on the wings, both sides, but particularly down the left, because Ashley Young couldn't hit a barn door if he fell on it. Nani, I don't know what his story is. He must be doing some sort of Michael Jackson tribute shows midweek and isn't training enough, because he's not doing it. Valencia down the right, is probably the only half decent bright spark there. Januzaj has been playing a bit on the left as well.
Played in the Capital One.
Yeah, Zaha's going to go out on loan.
He is, but he didn't do badly the other night.
He did well.
He
in fairness
to him, a couple of good crosses in as well.
Yeah, I actually seen there was some Twitter troll giving him grief, about not playing. And he kind of went, well, what do you want me to do? Put myself in the team? Do one, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Rooney, Van Persie, if you've got him, hold on to him.
To any troll.
Do one.
Rooney,
Rooney and Van Persie, certainly if you have either or both, yes, play him. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. But for me, I wouldn't be rushing to bring him in.
All right. Where else?
I'm actually going to go to West Brom, believe it or not, despite the fact that they got hammered 4-1 by Liverpool last week. And I actually think we'll get a reaction out of them on a clean sheet.
Okay.
They're playing Palace at home. Palace haven't won away from home all season. They've only scored 2 goals on the road. So I'd be looking at Liam Ridgewell. He's been ever present this season at 5 million. He is going to play every week. He is also one you could have as a squad player in there, and I think that the Baggies will pick up a clean sheet. Up front, there's a question mark over him. Alfitano, his fitness.
75% he's going to play.
He probably is going to play. We know what that means. And Sessegnon, he's still not doing enough for me. But I think we can get a clean sheet out of West Brom this week.
All right, is that it?
No, we can go to Southampton.
Okay. Yes.
I think we have to at this stage.
Away to Stoke.
They're away to Stoke. I'm not.
Stoke don't look bad.
After their game against United, you kind of have to rethink it. But then we also have to remember they've travelled to Old Trafford. Teams will invariably bring their A game when they travel to Old Trafford. It's still a big scalp to fight, despite the fact that United probably aren't playing their best football. But I do fancy that Southampton will continue their run of clean sheets. They've 5 clean sheets in the last 6 games. I think Boric obviously is one you've got to consider. Lovren is another for me who has the potential to get forward as well as get you a clean sheet, as we've already seen this season. And in midfield, one man who's been standing out and slowly been pushing his way onto my radar is Adam Lallana at 6.4 million. 2 goals and 2 assists in his last 5 games. And I think if you do need a mid-price midfielder, I think he's one certainly to consider given Southampton's current form.
It is. He's
up front. Then, like I said, Ricky Lambert's been swapped with Osvaldo. There's too much competition for strikers' positions for me to consider.
Yeah. And Jay Rodriguez is great value at 5.7 if you want to go there.
Yeah, I think Lallana will be a better shout if you've got that extra couple of mil to spend. And after that, then I suppose we can move to speak about a young Irishman.
Go on,
Robbie Brady. He's back after his hernia up. He only played 7 minutes last week.
No. Hull are playing Sunderland this week.
Yeah.
I'm just joking. Go on.
It was one of those. Yeah. I had looked at this and thought, Brady, yes, brilliant. Hull, however, did have to go all the way to extra time and penalties against Tottenham.
Sudden death.
And they don't have the depth in squad that Tottenham had to be able to swap too many players out. However, Brady didn't play.
Yeah.
So he is going to be fresh.
As a daisy.
He is going to be fresh for this one. 3 goals and an assist. but he hasn't had any returns since his hair. Hasn't had any attacking returns since he got back. Now, when he played 7 minutes last week, and we thought he might start, Steve Bruce did admit that he's rushed him back, but he seems to be showing no signs of any ill effects from that. And like I said, he didn't play against Spurs. I do fancy if there's going to be one person that nailed on to do something in this game, it has to be him.
Paul McShane.
He got a goal in the Capital One Cup as well.
Good goal.
We all dream of a team of Paul McShanes.
Yes, it used to be Gary Breen, but now it's Paul McShane's.
So I think Brady's obviously worth a look at 5.2. He's a good squad player to have in there when fixtures suit. And the last man on my best of the rest is Christian Benteke, 8.8. Missed the penalty last week, all right, but I was his first start since coming back from his hip flexor injury, I believe it was. So you can expect him to be a little rusty. I'm expecting more from him over the coming weeks. Like I said, he has got 4 goals to his name this season. The last one of those coming in game week 4. But he is getting back from injury, and Villa's fixtures, including this week, are actually pretty good if you look forward for the next 5 weeks. It's West Ham, Cardiff, West Brom, Sunderland, and Southampton are the only sticky one.
I think West Ham is stickier than you give them credit for. I think Upton Park, Big Sam has them very well organised. Very good defensive unit.
Yeah, but they're missing James Collins, and I think he was the man to put a leash on Benteke. I think he was the man to keep him under wraps, and he's not there. So I do fancy Benteke this week to do something. Yeah, we all know what he's capable of, but just bear in mind their fixtures do get quite good over the coming weeks. So he's probably a long term one.
A few top clubs are having a look at Winston Reid as well. That's just as a bit of gossip for you.
I love a bit of gossip.
Yeah, Winston Reid. I think Arsenal, Liverpool, both monitoring him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and he's a good player. I can also see if Morrison keeps going the way he's going, that he's going to get a switch. I mean, he nearly threw his own career down the toilet when he was with United. His off-the-field antics left a lot to be desired, in the words of some people at United. But Big Sam has taken him to West Ham and obviously kind of laid down the laws very clearly to him, and he's starting to resurrect it, and a fair play to him.
I think maybe it's just the factor of when you're a young man, you can do silly things when you're 18 or 19.
He's still young,
potentially, and then when you get a little bit older, you start to mature.
Yeah, of course. Listen, that's a fact of life.
The difference between 18 and 19 is huge and
massive. But I mean, in fairness to him, he's doing well. He's on the watch list. Again, if you're looking for a good squad player to have in there, I think he's one to consider. But I do fancy Benteke this week in that game.
All right, we shall see. And next up, it's Captain's Picks. Most important position of the week. Where are you going to go for? I'm guessing you're going to go for Man City.
Yeah, yeah. Aguero for me is nailed on captain this week.
Have you got him on your squad?
Nope, I can't afford him. That's the problem. That is the problem. I actually can't afford him, but that's how much I want him. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'd have to make about 3 or 4 substitutions to get him in, and I'm reasonably happy with the balance in my squad at the moment. So I think he's nailed on for me. I think the other option is Hazard for Chelsea against Newcastle. I think is the other one to look at. And if you really wanted to go outside the box and look for what some may consider to be as close to guaranteed clean sheet as you can, I think you could look at backing a Southampton defender or goalkeeper for a captain as well.
Yeah. No, I tell you. It's almost Caffrey-esque of you.
Well, I'm pulling a book out of Caffrey. It's out of the Caffrey playbook, straight from page number 74.
Captain the keeper.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's worth looking at. If you're struggling for a captain, I mean, obviously you've got Ozil, Ramsey, Giroud are still in there, David Silva I've spoken about. Arsenal against Liverpool, it's just, then it's Suarez, Sturridge. There's so many variables in that game. I just think it's a bit risky to be putting your armband into it. So I'm steering clear. I think the safest bet this week is City.
Fernando Torres. I'm telling you.
Right, okay.
Fernando Torres.
Listen, the way he played last week, you couldn't put it past him.
I don't have him, but if I did, I might just captain him this week. I might.
Yeah, listen, Newcastle, we know it depends what Newcastle side turn up, I suppose. But I don't know. Chelsea's away form hasn't been brilliant. So
you're the best striker in the world. Don't worry. Sit down on the bench.
So yeah, I think it has to be.
Back on.
I think it has to be Aguero. I think Hazard's worth a look. Maybe a Southampton defender for a sneaky clean sheet.
All right. Right, that is all we have time for this week.
That is all, Stuart.
fantasypremierleaguetransfers.com, especially on Fridays, every day, but
Oh,
especially on
Friday.
Fridays, because all of the real previews and
Yeah, and don't forget to join us for Lifetime. Lifetime is still here. We haven't gone away.
live time. Live.
You can get us on Twitter at FantasyPremTips. Join us every Saturday morning from 10:30 to 11:30 as we field and answer all your last-minute fantasy questions. That's at FantasyPremTips. And for those of you on the Bookface or Facebook, it's facebook.com/FPL transfers. You can hit us up there. And
We should be back next week for Game Week 11.
yeah, where's Caffrey?
I don't know. I didn't even notice he wasn't here. Is he? No, still not here.
No, he's probably out trick-or-treating already.
Ah, scary.
Yeah.
I thought he might ghost in.
Hey, I suppose we'll see you next week.
See you then. Happy Halloween.